Hi guys, it's Kelsi from Super Kicking It with Kelsi. That's me, of course. As you guys can see, I've got a new magnet collection displayed behind me. Changed things up in the background a little bit. I really like how it turned out, and I'm so glad that you guys are here hanging with me today while I do this live video. Appreciate your time. I was supposed to do a live video over the weekend, but things got too hectic with the Super Bowl. It was my mom's birthday as well. So lots of cake, but not enough time. So I didn't do a live video. I really apologize for that, guys. But I'm here now, and I'm trying to make up for it. So we're going to talk about a lot of fun things. I got a lot of questions that I got on Twitter, and I'm really excited about that. I'm going to answer as many as I can. I got like over 30. But also, if you guys want to leave some questions in the chat or some topics in the chat, I'm cool with addressing that too. Dave is here with me. Good guy, Dave. Hey, Dave. Thanks for joining. And we're going to chat a little bit about, people ask questions about Picard, of course, the new Star Trek series that I'm really pumped and excited about. At first, I was going to wait to watch it till after my rewatch of TNG, which I'm currently doing right now. I'm on season 5, episode 2 right now. And there's a lot more episodes to go before I'm finished my rewatch of TNG. So I said, screw it. I want to be in on the excitement of Picard. So I watched the first episode, then I watched the second episode because I really wanted to see what everyone was saying and to just see if I liked it. And I really am liking it. But we'll get into that later on as we get into this chat a little bit. We're going to talk wrestling, of course. Not too much wrestling because I will admit I'm very behind on current wrestling right now, unfortunately. We're going to talk lots of cool TV show themed stuff. And actually, I've got some food questions, which seems random, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun to talk about. Cynic JRH said, heard you were great on the Cultaholic Classic Review. What's it like upstaging Tom? I don't think that's possible. Tom's incredible, and he's so suave and so British. I don't think I could upstage him if I tried. He's just too hardcore. But it was a lot of fun hanging with him. And of course, my friend Justin, it was a lot of fun. Hey, Kelsi, it's Sandman from Periscope. Hey, Sandman. I haven't heard from you in a long time, except I know you were in the chat last time I went live. Really appreciate you. Happy to see you. Nails and NY, good evening. Thanks for joining. Even if you can't stay long, I really appreciate you. And thank you, Nails, for liking and sharing. I appreciate you. And since you just reminded me of that, anybody who's here checking out this video who hasn't already subscribed, please, it would really mean a lot to me if you did take the time to subscribe to my channel. I've got lots of stuff in the works for upcoming videos, lots of wrestling and pop culture themed things that I'm really excited about in the works. So please subscribe, leave a like. That would really help too, and I would really appreciate it. Plus, if you like this Q&A, I have a couple of others that I have done recently. Links are in the description. I've also gone through and described some of the magnets in my magnet collection in a new series I call Kelsi's Collectibles. So if you want to see me describe my magnets, specifically the magnets on this board right here, because I'm doing them one at a time. There's a whole bunch of panels behind me. But I described this one and all the magnets in my latest video. Links in the description. So please check that out. Harry Flynn, thank you for joining. And thanks to all of you who are joining right now. Like I said, if you subscribe and like, that'll be very helpful. But let me just quickly, before we get into the questions, tell you what I have coming in the works for the YouTube channel. I'm super excited about it. I've got a Seinfeld video I'm going to be doing. I did this a long time ago. I did one, but the audio was all messed up. So why waste all the work I did, all the research I did on Seinfeld? We're going to talk all about it. People on Twitter voted their favorite Seinfeld food items. People on Twitter voted their favorite Seinfeld quotes, their favorite Seinfeld character. So we're going to go through all of that and dive into that in a couple of weeks. Also, 90s kids movies. I put out these series of polls pitting all kinds of 90s kids movies against each other. If you can't think of what I'm talking about, think of movies like Mighty Ducks, Home Alone, what else did I put on there? Tons of movies. Heavyweights, of course. Blank Check. Lots of epic 90s kids movies. We're all on this poll, or I should say series of polls, and we basically whittled it down to 4 choices, and we saw which kids movie one to be the ultimate kids movie in most people's eyes. So we'll go through that in the upcoming weeks. That's going to be an episode I'm doing all about 90s kids movies. It should be a lot of fun. I'm also going to do a Stranger Things or Goonies video where I have to choose between them. I really love the Goonies movie and I love Stranger Things, the TV show. It's going to be epic and hard to choose between the two. But that's stuff you have to look forward to that I'm going to be putting out soon. Hope you guys are interested in any of that. But let's get into the topics because I got a lot of people leaving a lot of things that I want to get to, and it was just so many questions. I don't want to leave anybody out. We've got Derek in the chat here. Thanks so much. HBK367 said, saw you on Cultaholic last month doing the Don't You Forget About Keith song. Yeah, that was pretty fun. I gotta say, that song is epic. I have told Tom this. I was like, I probably would have said, don't you forget about Lee, because Lee rhymes with me, so it goes with the song better. But I don't know. There's something about that song that's really great. In fact, and it's not because I'm in it, it's just such a catchy spoof, and I love spoofs. I've done like a couple of song spoofs myself. I did Space Jam remade into a song about wrestling called Space Slam. Loved how it came out, took forever. I also did a wrestling-themed Christmas carol to the tune of Let It Snow. So what Tom put together and the Cultaholic lads, that was right up my alley. It was really, really funny and creative. I love creative stuff. The video, too, was so well put together and so 80s. So props to them. I was really honored to be a part of it, but it's super catchy, and that's regardless of if I'm in it or not. I don't even care. In fact, I kind of skip my part because it like makes me cringe. I'm like, get off the screen, you. But I've actually watched it quite a few times at the gym because it makes me laugh and makes time go by really fast. So I'll be like watching it, then I'll skip my part and then I'll like restart it just because it's so funny. I don't know. It makes the time go by. Sometimes I'll get stuck on a YouTube video that really like I get into and it helps working out go faster. I get into these like phases where I'll watch certain videos over and over again. It used to be like AJ Styles' old theme song. Oh, what was that song called? Demigods. So Demigods, or is it Demigod? I can't remember. But anyway, it was back when he was in ROH. I love his old school theme song when he was in ROH. And I used to watch this video where he was doing a couple of moves over and over again to that song. I used to watch it on repeat at the gym. I was like, yeah, running. This is running music. Whatever. To each his own, I guess. So let's get to some of the questions, guys. And feel free if you want to leave more questions in the chat. I know it's late, so thank you guys who are live in the chat hanging with me. I'll start off with I'm going to backtrack a second. Before I get to the questions, I do want to touch on, since most of my questions are pop culture themed, I want to touch on wrestling a little bit and address why I haven't been talking wrestling that much. You know, I'm really behind on wrestling right now. I haven't watched a lot, but something that's exciting me is Ring of Honor and their improvements and their additions and all the matchups they keep announcing. It's super, super exciting. Like Marty Scurll versus Jay White. That's going to be incredible at Supercard of Honor. And as I said on my last stream, I have tickets to Supercard of Honor, so I'm really excited about that. Very, very excited. And, you know, I think really I want to get back into Ring of Honor because I actually fell out of watching it because there's so much to watch. So when I was doing my podcast every week, I was trying to keep up with everything else. And so Ring of Honor went to the wayside. Another thing that really kind of went to the wayside, unfortunately, was New Japan Pro Wrestling, which I used to keep up with religiously. I haven't really watched it that much recently, but I am going to watch it this weekend because as you guys know, if you're New Japan fans, we're going to get Moxley versus Suzuki. And I'm pretty pumped up about that because this is something that I've wanted since Moxley was involved in New Japan Pro Wrestling from the beginning. So finally, it's coming to fruition, and I know there's been a lot of cool things developing on the Road 2 shows, and of course, I've missed all of that. I've seen clips on Twitter here and there, but I've really got to delve in deeper because I've been missing things. I am excited, though, to finally see that singles match, which I've been yearning for quite a while. Good Guy Dave is asking me, what do you think of the Pure Championship coming back? I think it's a great move. I think Ring of Honor is making a lot of great decisions right now. And, you know, I feel like it's creating a buzz on social media. So to me, I think they're on the right path. I'm sure there's still things that they could correct backstage, but I think that they're changing the public perception little by little. And, you know, I did a podcast with my friend John talking all about Ring of Honor and what they could do to improve. And one of the things he and I both said was like change the head booker. They kind of did that with Marty Scurll involved, but also just change the public perception as much as they can. Start to change that negativity that everyone was talking about to positivity. And I think that's what they're accomplishing right now with all these Supercard of Honor announcements. I think just the whole idea of Ring of Honor still working with New Japan Pro Wrestling, I think that kind of lends itself to a positive vibe right there. People are seeing, New Japan is working with Ring of Honor. Maybe Ring of Honor isn't so bad after all, if New Japan hasn't abandoned them, as the rumor was for so long. For many, many months, especially after G1 Supercard, there really wasn't a lot of cross involvement between the two companies. So people after that were kind of questioning, well, is there even a relationship between these two promotions anymore? But now we know that there is, and it seems to be quite strong right now. Maybe the whole Marty thing being so involved backstage has kind of reinvigorated that. And in fact, when Marty challenged Jay White, he was very, very excited about the challenge. And he also said he was excited to be back in a New Japan ring and appear more with New Japan Pro Wrestling. So I think that's very telling. And I think just all the talent being announced for Supercard of Honor, it means a lot. I think it signifies that Ring of Honor is not dead. Don't count them out yet. No way. HBK367 is asking if I have any thoughts on Kobe. It was a terrible tragedy. Actually, we went to a Pelicans game the day that the tragedy happened, and they had a really moving, silence and tribute to him at the beginning. Both teams did 24 seconds of silence for him, of course, for his number. Super sad, even more sad that there were families on board and his daughter on board. Just a tragedy that affected so many lives, and it's just a bummer. Super bummer. But you can't overstate what he'd done for the game of basketball, and he'll always be remembered as a legend, and I think that is a good thing. But it's just a sad thing when anybody is lost too soon, and in such a tragic way. You can't help wonder, what if he hadn't gotten on that helicopter that day? What if they would have left 5 minutes later? The butterfly effect. I think that's such a fascinating thing. What if one thing in the day was different? Could everything have been different? It's just such a shame. Such a waste of life from a tragic accident, but it was no one's fault, really. So just, it's horrible. But yeah, my thoughts go out to all the families who were affected, not just Kobe, but everyone's families who were on the helicopter. Super sad. But yeah, thanks for asking that question. It was a big thing, lots of people talking about it, lots of people upset about it, and rightfully so. Kobe meant a lot to a lot of people, not just people into sports, but and not just people into basketball specifically, but, wider reaching people who are really into work ethic, into accomplishing a goal and a dream, and they really modeled like their work ethic after him. So yeah, I think such a sad thing. But hopefully people will live kind of by some of the principles he lived by, work hard and, go far in life. So that could be a good legacy. Okay, Fabe is here in the chat. Happier times. Thanks for joining. I appreciate you. And thanks to everyone who's watching right now. We were just talking about Kobe, the unfortunate incident. And we were also talking about Ring of Honor and the great things that Ring of Honor is doing to kind of revamp their image going forward. And their social media has seemed a little more on point lately, too. I want to point that out. So yeah, I got to admit, I am behind on wrestling, but the things in wrestling that are intriguing me the most, Ring of Honor, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and honestly, the Royal Rumble, I enjoyed quite a bit. And I'm really happy with how well Bianca Belair did in the Royal Rumble, the Women's Rumble. I think she had an amazing showing. Of course, Shayna Baszler, I kind of wanted her to be victorious, but it is what it is. I love Charlotte too. I think she's truly probably one of the best women wrestlers ever. So I was kind of happy to see that because, it's something that they're doing with her going forward. I will admit I haven't seen Raw, so I don't know all the developments besides the rumors I've seen on Twitter, which I always see spoilers. So I kind of know what's up, but I haven't watched Raw fully, so I don't really know everything that's transpired. But in terms of the Royal Rumble, of course, Edge's return was a huge deal, and what a lot of people were talking about, a flipping huge deal. I want to know I haven't really read much or watched much. I don't know if there's much out there about how he jumped back in the ring and was able to overcome his neck injury, which everyone thought was career ending. But man, what a great story. Two great stories. First, starting with Daniel Bryan coming back after we all thought, oh, he's done. He can't wrestle anymore. And now Edge, someone who was out for quite a lot longer than Daniel Bryan. But I mean, I think that made the return that much sweeter when you really thought there's no way. Of course, there were rumors, so it wasn't a complete surprise, at least to me, but it still was really cool to see. I love his theme song, one of my favorite theme songs, so that was awesome. We've got more people. Oh, Alyssa, I think I'm pronouncing that right. Alyssa is saying, don't like the Seth Rollins heel turn. Don't think uh, the Beast Slayer heel turn feels forced. The tag team's not big enough on its own. Well, I like the heel turn a lot. I like the faction that he's like kind of creating. I think it gives him something unique because to me, he feels kind of flat as a face after a while. That's just a personal opinion of mine. I mean, I totally respect your opinion of not liking the heel turn. I love it. There's actually nothing I love more than smarmy Seth Rollins. In fact, I don't like him as a face at all. I kind of like heels more. In fact, people in my chats have pointed that out before. Like, Kelsi, you seem to like heels. What the heck? I don't know. Everyone likes heels. It's kind of cool. Almost too cool because you're supposed to hate them, not really like them, but I can't help it. All right. Dave said Raw was pretty good. Well, maybe I'll catch it. I heard that there was some good stuff on there. I know somebody returned. I'm not going to say who because Paul hasn't seen yet. I don't want to spoil it for him because he might be watching this video and he can hear me through the wall. So I won't say, but I know who it was. And that was pretty interesting. I wonder what will develop from that. I'm hoping a specific thing develops, but I think that's kind of far-fetched. I don't know. Derek said he's enjoying Raw after the Royal Rumble and he thought it was good. Well, that's a pleasant surprise. That's really awesome to hear. So that makes me want to check it out even more. Maybe when I have some time. I've been really into TV shows lately, so that's why I've been kind of behind on wrestling stuff. But again, I did watch NXT this weekend, or was it? I mean, last weekend, 2 weekends ago, whenever the hell that was. It feels like a lot longer, or I don't know. I'm getting mixed up with my time, but the Royal Rumble was definitely interesting. I will say I fell asleep during Daniel Bryan and The Fiend, not because it was boring, because I was really tired. We had to start it late. We couldn't watch it live because that was the day we went to was it the Pelicans basketball game day? Yeah, that was. So we got back super late and didn't get to watch it live time. But overall, I would say I give it an A because it had a lot of surprises. I'm torn on the Brock Lesnar thing. That's the only thing. I know people loved it and were like, oh, well, it really built up Drew McIntyre. And I could totally see it that way. And I do agree with that to a point. Like, it really gave him a great pop when he was the one to kind of get Brock Lesnar out of there. But at the same time, you had Brock Lesnar throwing out guys that I think deserved like a better showing in the Rumble. Like, man, I don't know how many years we're going to be talking about Cesaro this way, but to me, Cesaro is one of the most underrated guys on the roster, period. But this is nothing new, and I'm not saying anything that's like revolutionary because other people have said this for a long time. What's the deal? Cesaro's awesome, and yet he never gets any due props. So it was kind of sucky to see him get tossed out so quickly, and some other people too. I'm like, what the hey? Also, it wasn't by the hands of Brock Lesnar, but why have Matt Riddle in the Rumble just for him to get flipping tossed out by Corbin? Yeah, like it gave him some heel heat, but I just think it was a waste of Riddle. When Riddle's on such a hot streak in NXT, it seemed like counterproductive booking to me. It's not really developing what he should be. He should be like a beast, a really like big threat, no matter, what he's involved in. So to me, that was a huge bummer. Come on, have Matt Riddle do better and not just like last at like flipping hardly any amount of time against Corbin. Derek's saying he thought Brock Lesnar did great in the Rumble because they made him look dominant, and it was awesome to see Drew eliminate him. And at least to Derek, that's how he feels. And I understand that take, and I did like how dominant he was and how that's never really been done before. And that's what Paul felt like too. Like, it was really unique. They hadn't done that in a Rumble before where somebody was so dominant. It's just that I would have not put certain people in there like Cesaro. Like, maybe I would have chosen somebody else for him to quickly eliminate. I don't know. That's just me being nitpicky. But yeah, I think it was a great way to get, as I said, McIntyre over. I mean, it really did wonders for him in the match itself and for him winning. I think it wouldn't have been as well received had he not tossed Brock Lesnar out. So to me, it kind of was perfectly played uh, with how they booked the ending of it. So it all made sense in the end. Tommy Gunn is asking if he can see more of my button and magnet collection. Yes, but not right now, because actually I'm going to be doing a whole series on it. And if you look in the description, there's a link. I show you every single magnet on this board. And this is a continuing series called Kelsi's Collectibles. I'll be showing not just my buttons and magnets. I am going to go and show every button and magnet I have on this series eventually. But I'll also be showing like I've got a ton of Star Trek The Next Generation merch. Eventually I'll get to that. I've got lots of wrestling shirts. I'll be showing my wrestling shirt collection. I also have random wrestling merch that's not shirts, so I'll show that too. All kinds of things. I have a ton of 90s Nickelodeon memorabilia and merchandise. Memorabilia as in some things that are authentically from the 90s from when I grew up that I kept as a kid growing up, I still have, and some merchandise that is new that I've bought that I like to have as like as part of my collection as a display item. So it's not really a memorabilia piece, but I've got all kinds of stuff like that, and I'll be showing it all in this semi-regular series, Kelsi Collectibles. So keep keep a lookout for that, Tommy, and you'll get to see all of that. And no, I don't have any Pokemon cards. I was not a Pokemon kid that much. I like Pikachu a lot and Jigglypuff and Diglett and a lot of Pokemon. They're super cute. And I did watch the TV show every episode, and I really loved the TV show, the cartoon. But in terms of did I play anything like any video games or collect cards? No, but like almost everyone I know growing up did. I just was like a weirdo kid watching TV and movies and stuff, and that's kind of like what I was into more so than like playing video games or card collecting or anything like that. So now that we kind of did some wrestling talk, because I know a lot of people follow me for my wrestling content, I didn't want to have no wrestling talk this whole show because these majority of these questions are about shows and other things. So now we can get into the show pop culture section of this live stream. Did I attend this year's Jericho Cruise? No. I wish, I wish that a cruise was more up my alley because I did go to last year's cruise and it was a lot of fun. But at the same time, like a cruise, I don't think is like my cup of tea, which is unfortunate because one of my favorite bands, Coheed and Cambria, just announced that they're doing a cruise. And that would be really cool, except I don't really like cruises. And I found that out after going on last year's Jericho cruise. Just really wasn't for me. To Greek Olive 24, thanks so much for catching the stream. I appreciate you. It really means a lot to me that you're checking it out. You're the best. More wrestling comments before we move on real quick. Noob & Co. I'm really enjoying the Kabuki Warriors as women's tag team champs. They really have a strong bond. Hopefully they won't get split up. Yeah, they got great chemistry. I will say that. I do like their chemistry quite a bit. Just like I like Riddle, his chemistry, with the bruiserweight Pete Dunne. I think they've got some great in-ring and out-of-ring chemistry and just some great charisma together. Very odd pair, but it works. So sometimes you think a tag team's kind of mismatched, but they end up gelling together really well and working in the long run. Tommy says, why didn't I like my first cruise? I don't know. I just kind of like, Paul didn't want to go with me because he doesn't like cruises. So I was kind of like all by myself. And even though I made a lot of good friends and a lot of nice people there, and I love the matches, I just was like kind of lonely and homesick. I got really homesick actually. I was like, I want to go home. But I think one of my favorite parts, I would have to say, is I love the Impractical Jokers. They also have their own cruise, but two of the Jokers were on the Jericho cruise because they're actually big wrestling fans. It was Sal and was it Q? I don't know. I was really paying more attention to Sal because he's my favorite. I love Sal. I don't think it was Murr. So yeah, I think it was Sal and Q. And I love Sal, so like I was all like marking out to see him. I was like, oh, Sal. And he was like just being hilarious. And so that was my favorite part of the cruise when they were like doing all kinds of like wrestling jokes too. Like he was saying what gimmicks he would be if he was a wrestler. And they were like really absurdist, crazy random gimmicks that were like totally out there. Like one was like a bum and I don't know. It was great. Yes, it was Q. So it was Q and Sal and they're just so awesome. I don't know. There's just something about the Impractical Jokers who apparently have a movie coming out. So I'm pretty excited about that. Should be good. And I'm actually one of my Christmas presents from Paul. Or was that a birthday present? Whatever. It was a present. We're going to go see the Impractical Jokers when they're coming to New Orleans. I'm super pumped up about it because this will be, how many times have I seen them? If I count the cruise, this will be, I think, my fifth time seeing the Impractical Jokers. Definitely at least fourth, at most fifth. So fourth or fifth. Either way, I'm really excited about it because they're so funny. There's this one episode where Sal is putting up somebody's dental chair, like where his feet are like almost straight vertical, and like the dude is laughing. Sal like can't keep a straight face. That's probably one of my favorite episodes. I cried laughing when I saw that skit. And of course, I think their tour is called the Scoop Ski Potatoes Tour, and that's when Joe is like scooping these potatoes at this restaurant, and he's supposed to keep doing it even though the people don't want potatoes, and so he goes scoop ski potatoes, scoop ski potatoes, and like I cried laughing at that too. It's one of my favorite little pranks they ever did. It was awesome. So yeah, I've got a couple of favorite things that they do, but they're incredible, and I got Paul into them because they're really funny. All right, so now let's go to some other questions real quick because I've got so many. All right, at foul underscore original, Picard so far, yay or nay? I'm a huge Star Trek TNG fan, and I'll tell you about this later because someone asked me specifically about ranking Star Trek series. And I gotta say, some people are Trekkies, and I'm almost embarrassed to say I am more of, not a Trekkie, but more of a TNGer. I don't know if that's even a thing, but I'm making it a thing. Basically, I've watched all of TNG, all the movies, all the show, and I've got a ton of TNG books and memorabilia and merchandise and everything TNG I love. Picard's my favorite captain, hands down. I didn't watch the original series. I did watch every original series movie, so obviously, like The Wrath of Khan, all kinds of ones like the floating whales in space. I love that one too. What is that? Search for Spock. I don't know. That one's so wonderful. Or the Voyage Home. Maybe that's that one. But I haven't seen all of Deep Space Nine. I started it but never finished it, and haven't seen Voyager. But it is on my to-do list, and eventually I will get there. Hopefully. But right now, I feel like only half a Trekkie, maybe even a quarter Trekkie, because really I'm really just super into TNG. And I don't know if that counts as being like a Star Trek person, but to me it's good enough because I just think it's one of the greatest shows, period, not just the greatest Star Treks. I just think it's a wonderful show. It's got a lot of like awesome life lessons in it, and Picard's just such an inspiring character. Like his moral compass is really strong, and so far I'm loving Picard's series. Now I will say this last episode was super information heavy, almost like exposition heavy. They had to give all this backstory about all these new things and new plot points and new characters. It was almost too much information in a short amount of time. And some of the scenes were a little too convoluted. But overall, the vibe of the show I really love. And I love how it is staying true to the spirit of Picard, the character. Because to me, I do want the overall plot to be good for the whole season and for the whole series as a whole because it's already been renewed for a second season. So no matter how many seasons they go, I want the whole series to be good overall. But I think the most important thing, even more than the plot being good, is that it stays true to Picard as a character. And I think so far it's doing that, and it feels like he hasn't like skipped a beat in portraying Picard. Patrick Stewart, it's been a long time since he's been Picard, but it's like he slipped back in you know, like it was an old comfortable shoe. So I liked that a lot. It's got a lot of nostalgic feels and a lot of throwbacks to TNG, a lot of references, a lot of subtle things, and I really love it. And I gotta say, I gotta shout out my friends, Steve and his friend Tim, who now is my friend because we're in a group chat about Star Trek together. I really like those guys. They're doing a wonderful job. They're reviewing every episode of Picard as it's released. So like a day or so later, they release a review on it. And I really am loving their analysis and their insight. So I'm just touching lightly on Picard. If you guys want to like really go down the rabbit hole and really intensely kind of think about Picard and hear someone talk about Picard in depth, I have to recommend Steve. And of course, you guys might know him from Going in Raw, of course, a great wrestling channel. But he also has another YouTube channel called Friendoville where they do a lot of other stuff, including he's got a separate TNG podcast called the Four Lights Podcast, which I also watch. That's not with Tim, that's with his other co host. But this Picard review series he's doing with Tim. And I think it's just so well done. I've got to recommend it to you guys because if you love Picard, you'll love these reviews. Again, it's on the Friendoville channel. I'll put a link. It's not in there now, but I'll put a link in the description so that you guys can find it if you're interested, because they are so much more knowledgeable than me on it. And they've got very specific things that they talk about in these reviews that are really, really just fascinating, to be honest, and things that I wouldn't have thought to connect the dots on. And also, I mean, he doesn't have a show, but good guy Dave here in the chat, he told me some great thoughts on what he thought about Picard. Just some really beautiful, eloquent statements that he made about what he felt when he watched the season premiere and the series premiere of Picard. And I thought that was really well said. I'm sure when I do, because eventually I'm going to do a video all about Star Trek The Next Generation, and I might throw in some Picard discussion there. I'll probably read some of Dave's thoughts on that because it was just so well said. And, I think it's a really cool series. I'm really excited about it. I know there's all kinds of people griping about it on social media. Whatevs. I'm liking it. I've been waiting a long time for this. Like, I'll give you an example. I was waiting like 10 years for TNG to be completely restored and released on Blu-ray. They did it little by little, but I didn't buy it per season. I kept waiting for them to come out with a complete series of the Blu-ray restoration. And I was like planning, like, okay, as soon as I get it, I'm going to rewatch the whole series. I did buy it as soon as they released it, but I didn't rewatch it right away for some reason. I watched some of it and then I got sidetracked with like more wrestling stuff. So finally, I'm doing my rewatch. I've got my Blu-rays with the awesome bonus features. It's just, I've been waiting for some new Star Trek material that also had like a nostalgic feel that called back to TNG, because that's my favorite thing. I also do watch Discovery though, and I do think that's a wonderful series. In fact, that's the only other Star Trek that I've super gotten into was Discovery. I didn't like season 1 too much. I thought near the end, season 1 dragged a little bit, but season 2 picked up a lot and was really, really good. So overall, I love Discovery, but I'm loving Picard too. I just think that, we had to get through this last episode where it was a lot of information given to us. Not all of it, I think, was as well done as it could have been in terms of presenting it to the audience. But overall, it's got those little nostalgic callbacks that you all want. And it's also got a new plot that we'll have to see how that develops. I can't really judge that too harshly right now because we don't really know too much about what's going to unfold this whole season. But in terms of what's going on now, I really like it, honestly. I like how he talked about, he talked about Earl Grey, which I now drink. It's actually delicious. He of course, we saw the awesome Data dreams in the first episode. I thought that was powerful. And actually, when the reporter, this is my favorite part of the whole series so far, this mean reporter asked Picard, did you ever question Commander Data's loyalty? And he said, never. And I knew he was going to say never before he said it. So I just thought that was really powerful. You could just see how strong their relationship is. And I'm watching, like I said, TNG right now on season 5. And I think some of the best character relationships on the show, 2 of them, and they're both with Picard and Data, and also Picard and Worf. And I think those relationships are really strong and come across like so powerful in the show, especially when Worf is trying to clear his family's name. Picard is standing by his side and is really sticking with him. And just when Worf asks to be relieved of duty to go fight and try to resolve this Klingon civil war that was going on at the time. It's in an episode 2-parter of, it's called Redemption. It's season 4 finale and season 5 opener. That's where this story is taking place. The ending of this story, because the Worf arc even started, I think, back in season 3 even, with Sins of the Father. I think that was the season 3 episode, if not season 4. But yeah, the Worf storyline goes on a long time. When Picard grants him his leave of absence to go fight with the Klingons, I feel like Worf beams up, and then like Picard seems to have like tears in his eyes a little bit. Like I could be reading into that a lot, but it looked like he had like tears in his eyes. Also, there's just some great relationship stuff between him and Commander Data. And that's the thing is we're seeing a lot of what Data meant to him in the Picard series now. So I think it all comes full circle, and there's little ties that stretch all the way back to the series into the new series. I just think that's awesome. So very well done so far, in my opinion. I think the people who are complaining should give it more time. We're only 2 episodes in. There's going to be some episodes that could drag. And Star Trek, new Star Trek, people are kind of used to the new Star Trek being a little action heavy. Like Discovery, I feel like might have spoiled it a little bit because it's very actiony, and obviously the new reboot movies are super actiony. And like traditionally, Star Trek's more of like talking and like science and education. I mean, there is action, but and it's really, to me, especially TNG, why I like it so much is the relationship between the characters. It's really kind of like a character study in some aspects. It's not just about the action or like the mission or what's going on in the episode. There's a larger story in terms of how the characters relate to one another and understand each other and themselves. I really like that. I think that's such a cool study of like human nature and just people and relationships. So to me, it's got such a bigger meaning than that. So I think people who are eager for this Picard series to kind of be more actiony, like that's more of like the new Star Trek style, not really like the traditional Star Trek style. It's not all about action, at least not in my opinion. And I will say, they dropped an F-bomb in the latest Picard episode, and Steve and Tim talked about this on their review. I don't know how to feel about it either, because it's not that I'm against cursing, especially like on a movie or a TV show. It's just that I don't know if I agree with it in Star Trek, specifically in a series which has Picard, which I think of as like an eloquent man, and there's someone just cursing at Picard in the episode, and I'm like, what the heck? This is not normal. This is not Star Trek. So it just feels odd, and I like how Steve put it. He said, like, it takes you out of the universe because you don't hear people in Star Trek cursing. So when you do hear it, it's like, kind of takes you aback. Whereas if you're watching, he used a different Scorsese movie as an example, but I'll use Goodfellas. If you're watching Goodfellas, they're dropping F-bombs left and right, and you don't blink an eye. It doesn't take you out of like the movie or the story. That's because already in the beginning of the movie, they established this is the way they talk. In Star Trek, and I'm quoting Steve and Tim here, they basically said this in the review, you don't get cursing like that. So when you hear it, you're like, your mind is like, this is not Star Trek. What is happening? And your mind explodes. So that's kind of how I feel about it. I think it's a little odd, but I guess some things like to be edgy just to be edgy, and I think that's what is going on here. Of course, it's TV MA. I guess they have to warrant the MA rating, whatever. I kind of sick of shows kind of going all hardcore just to go all hardcore. Like Netflix does that a lot. I just feel like they show like nudity and curse, and they curse a lot just to do it, just because they can, because they're not on TV. And like, I don't know. To me, it's like, why just throw it in there? I don't like when it's just thrown in there for no reason. It's kind of stupid in my opinion. But if you guys disagree, that's okay. We can all respectfully agree to disagree. All right, and let's go to more questions here. Dave told me I should watch The Children of Mars, Star Trek, Short Trek, if I haven't already, which I haven't. I do plan on watching it. It gives good backstory. Also, Steve and Tim talked about that in their review. Follow Original said, all I can say is I really enjoyed the first episode, and episode 2 was pretty darn enjoyable as well. There's a lot of hate going around for Picard, but I'm going into the series with no expectations other than it's freaking John Luke. And then he put a gif of Shake It So, Picard doing his little dance. I agree with you there, Fowl. I really do. Then my friend JBQ, John at Big Paws on a Pup, he said, what are 3 things you hate about Juice Robinson? Nothing, nothing, and nothing. In fact, my friend Mags said the word nothing in like 3 different languages. I like a lot of things about Juice Robinson's. I can't speak. I like a lot of things about Juice. I like how quirky and zany he is. I like his ridiculous ring gear, and I like his promo style. I think it's very old school in a way, and it doesn't feel scripted. It kind of just feels like he's just a zany guy going off, just off the cuff, shooting from the hip. Even though he's not, it just feels like that sometimes. So to me, I can't say anything I hate. Maybe I hate the way he's booked sometimes, but I don't know. He's been in some good feuds lately, like, when he had that program with Mox. I think that did wonders for him. Obviously, that first match where he revealed that he shaved his hair, his dreadlocks, I think that was like kind of huge for a character change for the moment. Kind of portrayed a more serious Juice. Now, it didn't last for long because then he still came out with ridiculous outfits shortly thereafter. But again, the ridiculous stuff doesn't bother me. Derek at Derek Stark says, what's something that hardly anyone knows about you? Well, I don't know. I curse quite a bit, and I don't do it on my channel or on Twitter too much, but in real life, I do it quite a bit. I don't know. I guess a lot of people don't know that if you don't talk to me in real life. I think my friend Anthony at Smark to Death knows that, though, because I'm always typing to him and cursing. Paul obviously knows because I'm always cursing at home. I don't know if it's a good or bad thing, but whatevs. I know I had more things to say because I was writing down notes. Some of these questions are hard. I have to think about them for a while. I can't think of what else I was going to say about anyone hardly knowing anything. Like, new interesting facts that people don't know. I can't think of anything. All right. At metal_2006, would you be interested in a one-season spin-off of Dexter to show what he's been doing after the main story ended? Yes and no. The finale of Dexter was pretty bad. I would put it up there with one of the worst TV show finales that I've ever watched. I really like Dexter, especially the first few seasons were amazing. The season with the DA, was it the DA? That was incredible. It's been a while since I watched it, so sorry guys, I can't remember the exact things. And of course, the guy from Third Rock from the Sun, where he played a bad guy, that was awesome too. There were so many great seasons of Dexter, but that last season was my least favorite. I didn't like that character of Hannah. I think that was her name, Hannah McKay. Anyway, I didn't like when she was involved. I think she really brought Dexter, the character, down. I don't like just her relationship with Dexter was weird. It just was off to me. And then the ending left a lot of things unanswered, and it was just not satisfying at all. And I'm not trying to spoil it, but the ending of Dexter, it left things unresolved and unsettled. So to me, it'd be interesting to see what he's up to and if he was able to silence his, what was he called? His dark passenger. Because, he's supposed to be in hiding, but how can you really be in hiding if you still have the urge to kill? So, of course, we know he always killed bad people. Would he have resumed that way of life, or did the Deb stuff change him completely and he doesn't want to kill anymore? I can't even believe that would be possible just because of how they presented his character and the urge, such a strong urge for him to kill people. So, I mean, and would he even, because I can't remember where exactly he was, but I know he was in a remote location at the end. Would there even be enough bad people there for him to unleash his dark passenger on? Or would he become a true villain? I don't know. It's a touchy thing. I'm not sure that the actor would want to go back to it. Michael Hall? I can't remember his name. I don't know if he would want to revisit it because, I don't know. I just don't know if it's a good idea. All right. We've got... So I really love that question because I never talk about Dexter anymore. It's been a couple of years, but I remember I was trying to binge watch that before it was available to stream anywhere. Basically, it was when Netflix still had DVDs and when Blockbuster was still around. So there were some times where I had to go literally drive to multiple Blockbusters to find certain discs of certain seasons of Dexter. That's how hardcore I was about watching it. I was like, I must find the next season somehow because I didn't have... what was it on Showtime? I didn't have that. I think I even made my parents buy it because by the time I caught up and we were watching live, I was like, please, can we just get a year just to watch Dexter? At Psycho Nigiri, what brings you joy and happiness most in life? It's always interesting to hear what people answer to this question. I just think I really like to laugh. I like to laugh with people I'm close with, like my parents and Paul, and I just like laughing, but this might sound kind of corny and people might be like, oh, this is such a terrible answer because it's not a sentimental answer, but I really feel happy watching TV shows that I really connect with, like characters that I can relate to, stories that I like, or rewatching movies that I like in the same way, where I can relate to the characters, the story, or just has a familiar type of feel. When I rewatch or watch for the first time any show or movie and it connects with me, there's like nothing else like it. In fact, it's truly where I'm at my happiest because I don't feel anxious. My mind isn't worried. I just kind of chill out and like watch the show. And a lot of times if the show is really really good or the movie's really good, I want to learn about it. So I love to watch bonus features. I love to like buy books about shows. In fact, like most of the books I own are about TV shows or movies. Like I've got like a book about Lost. I got like 20 books about Star Trek TNG. I've got a book about Breaking Bad, and I try to read some of it here and there. But um, I just really like to learn about shows that I'm really into, and like the art of rewatching them after a few years. It's like rediscovering an old friend. Like catching up with somebody you haven't seen in a while. It's like so awesome. Like I can't even describe it. Like when I was watching Breaking Bad, it felt so good. And when I was done, I was like, oh, it was the greatest show ever. It's like it's almost like a mini like high. And again, like I have a lot of anxiety sometimes. So it's like one of the only things that kind of calms my brain and I don't think about work or content creation or anything. I just think about this show is great and I want to talk about it. And another thing I really enjoy is talking about a show or a movie with other people. And I really discovered that in like a college class I had called American Film as a literary art. And that was I think my junior year of college, and it was just an awesome class. We would watch movies together and then talk about it. We would all like say what we observed from the movie, and then we would have like tests on it the next week and group discussions, and I don't know, it was just such a great class. And I realized, wow, I really like breaking down movies and analyzing it, and also shows too, with other people and like sharing information. That's why I've really been enjoying these Picard reviews on YouTube so much from Steve and Tim. It's just I really love to like analyze like shows and to share that passion with somebody else. And even if I'm not like actively talking, if I'm hearing their thoughts, it just like gets like all my gears in my mind going and like really gets my brain fascinated, and just it keeps me occupied. I don't know, that's like my most relaxed is watching or rewatching shows and movies. Only one Blockbuster video still exists. I know, it's sad as hell. I'm really bummed that there's not more video rental stores, because it was a thing. And I know I talked about this in the last stream. It was like an event. You go to the store, you pick out what you want to watch. It was a whole big social thing. And now it doesn't exist. And yeah, it's cool. You can watch whatever you want at any time. But at the same time, it's like I kind of miss the old way too a little bit. This is an awesome question. He was just in our chat. Okay, Fabe. At OK Fabe, what is one show you watched that you wish had one more episode or season? Felt like there was more that the show could have done. And then what is one show that went too far? It was kept going beyond when it should have been. I've got multiple answers for this, but this is a great question. I wrote down some answers. I think there could have been one more episode of Orphan Black. Actually, I think there could have been another season of Orphan Black. I thought that show was so fascinating. I was really sad to see it end. And it felt like it ended like really quickly. Like all of a sudden they're like, it's the final season and let's wrap everything up. And I was like, really already? I thought there was stuff that they didn't touch on that they could have probably expanded on for years. If you guys don't really know, it's about cloning, and that's not really giving anything away because that's like giving away the first episode. That's such a good show. Oh God, I miss that show. That's gonna be rewatched in the future, maybe like in 3 years, maybe 2 years. Such a good show. And so amazing in terms of the acting in the show, because one actress plays like 6 versions of herself, a clone. She plays 6 different versions of herself, maybe more. It's awesome. She does such a good job too. And honestly, like while you're watching, you don't realize it's the same actress. I mean, you do back in your mind, but you basically just get absorbed into the story, and you really feel like they're separate people. Like you have a favorite character, even though they're all played by the same person. It's just such a great show. Also, I'd love to have another, episode of Lost. Actually, another season of Lost, because everyone bashes that finale saying it's the worst. I actually like the finale of Lost. I think some things were wrapped up and explained, but there was a lot of unanswered questions. Like, what the hell is a smoke monster? Like that whole thing with the smoke monster, with the Jacob guy, wasn't it Jacob? and then the other guy on the island, like way back years before. I was like, they could have explained that and made that into a whole nother season, the backstory, what that meant. In terms of what happened to Jack and the passengers, I was fine with, I was happy with. A lot of people think, oh, they think one thing. I don't want to get into Lost because I might do a whole episode on Lost one day. So I don't want to get into it too much and too much detail because one day I'll go extremely into detail on that. I mean, heck, I had a Lost finale party. I'd already seen the finale, but my friend and her boyfriend were watching it and they had never seen it. So when she was about to get to the finale, I recommended her watch it, and she got into it a lot. And when she was going to watch the finale, I was like, you got to come over and watch the finale with me, even though I've seen it like 3 times at that point. We had like a party where we made a cake, and it was like a beach cake, and it had like fake rocks on it and like sand, and it was awesome. And we had like palm trees, and I did a whole thematic thing. It wasn't for a birthday or anything. It was just like literally a party where we had like a Lost cake and some thematic decorations. But she didn't seem unhappy with the finale, like just like I wasn't. But yeah, I think in terms of tying up loose ends, there's so many unanswered questions in Lost. You could totally expand on so many things. So that could have used not only a whole another episode, but a whole another season. And then I think Breaking Bad had a perfect ending, so I don't think that needs any more episodes, even though we kind of did get more stuff, and we're still getting stuff in the same universe. I feel like Star Trek The Next Generation had a great wrap up. But a show that only lasted one season, The Passage, I think could have had more. Freaks and Geeks, another show that could have had longer. My So-Called Life. All those just gone too soon. Canceled even though they were super popular. The Passage, that was a more recent show. Freaks and Geeks and My So-Called Life for many years ago. But The Passage was just like a year or two ago. And that was kind of like a vampire-ish story with this girl who had powers. And it was going a very interesting direction. And all of a sudden it got canceled. I was like, seriously? Why? My favorite character from Lost was Desmond. I loved him. I like Charlie too. And people were hating on Charlie. It bothers me how fast everyone turned on Charlie. It really does. Especially after he took care of Claire. Wasn't her name Claire with the baby? He took care of her so well, and they were just so quick to jump on the bandwagon that he's back on drugs and he's a dangerous guy. Except he was like always just trying to do his best. They didn't give him the benefit of the doubt. So I don't know. I was really disappointed with how they treated Charlie. It was a bummer. But yeah, definitely I love Desmond, and I actually love John Locke quite a bit. And he's in a show I'm watching right now called Emergence, and I'm really liking Emergence right now. So it's been really enjoyable, but he's a bad guy in that too, is the funny thing. John Locke plays a great bad guy. So the second part of the question asked me, what shows did I think went too far? Alias, because Alias was so good, and then it like totally jumped the shark. Like, oh my god, it got so bad. I stopped watching. I've never seen the finale because I had to quit because the plot got so absurd. I was like, screw this, I'm not finishing it, because it was not living up to how I felt watching the early seasons of it. I really thought like the first 2 seasons were just perfectly written, a lot of tension, a lot of what's going to happen next, and then they just dropped it. Fringe, I wasn't really happy with the way the last season played out. I thought that went on a little too long, or if it was still going to go that same amount of seasons, maybe like do something different with the final season. And we were talking about Dexter earlier. I think Dexter went way too long. And it didn't have a good ending. So Dexter had to be fixed somehow. And then Scrubs. And Scrubs is one of my favorite shows of all times, but it definitely went too far, especially when it centered around other doctors that weren't like JD and Elliot. And that was a total jumping of the shark. So all of those are the shows that I either think should have gone longer or went too long. And that was a really fun question. I have seen El Camino, yes. I have seen it, and I did enjoy it quite a bit. I think it was a little more slower paced than Breaking Bad, but I think I'm very happy with how they showed the ending of El Camino and what ended up happening to Jesse. So I like that. At pinups_pinfalls, what's your favorite show on right now and why? Well, I really loved Castle Rock season 2. I just watched that. I think it's way better than season 1. Like I said, I'm watching Emergence right now, and I'm really enjoying it. Castle Rock, to circle back for a second, season 2 really centers around referencing stuff from Misery, but the whole premise behind Castle Rock is it's stuff from the Stephen King universe, not just one movie or one book. It's like all these different references to all these different Stephen King works. And so I'm not like a huge Stephen King aficionado or anything, so I don't get all the references, but there's been like a ton of Easter eggs apparently, and the ones I do catch are pretty cool, and I really enjoyed season 2, so I have to recommend that. Right now, I think I love Stranger Things. I can't wait till that comes back. So I think that's one of my favorite current shows. And The Goldbergs definitely is my favorite current comedy because I don't really like a lot of comedies, but I just think that's such a nostalgic show. The actors have great chemistry. It's like a brand of humor that I actually laugh at. And I don't really laugh very easily at a lot of shows. So all that stuff is good stuff right now. And again, like Emergence literally just ended. I'm surprisingly liking that a lot. I usually don't like a lot of current TV. I usually like to concentrate on like rewatching stuff or watch stuff on Netflix that's being produced. Like Sabrina on Netflix is really good. The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, I think that's amazing. A new, I guess you could call it season. A new couple episodes have been released, and I haven't watched it yet, but that's going to come down the road. I've got a lot of Star Trek to watch in the meantime, so that's going to have to wait, but I really love that show. All right, let's see, more questions. And thank you guys who are still hanging in the chat with me. I appreciate you. It's been a lot of fun. I know it's a lot of TV talk, so hopefully you guys like TV too, just like me. All right, what's the best sandwich I've ever had? And this is from my friend Deej Kirkby. And he also asked my favorite burger. So my favorite burger is a breakfast burger by Rachel Ray. I was trying to find the recipe in the recipe book we have, but I couldn't find it. I was like, where the hell is the burger recipe? We made it. It had a fried egg on top. It had this sweet stuff on it too. I can't really remember exactly all the ingredients, but it was incredible. Definitely a favorite burger of mine. And then my favorite sandwich is this awesome prime dip sandwich with this au jus from this place called Houston's, and it's kind of like a chain restaurant, but the sandwich is awesome. It doesn't have a lot of fat on it. It's just perfectly tender, and like the sauce that you dip it into is so good. In fact, I go to the restaurant just for the sandwich, and the last time I went, I also go because they have an awesome sundae as a dessert. But the last time I went, they didn't have the sandwich. I'm like, great. At least they had the sundae the last time I went. But I was very disappointed about them not having the sandwich. I was like, what the hell? I also really like po' boys, but it's hard to find a po' boy that I really love. I always forget like my favorite ones because there's so many places here in New Orleans that serve po' boys that you kind of lose track of your favorites. I know Shortstop has a good one. There's this place called Comeback Inn. A lot of people, like out of towners and even locals, will tell you they like this place. Of course, I forgot the name now, but I can't remember the name now. It's overrated though. We just watched a documentary and it was in it. I can't remember it because I never like to go there because to me it's overrated and I can't remember the place it's called. But yeah, no. The printer just like went on and it scared the hell out of me. I was like, ghost! Oh crap! But there's lots of good sandwiches. I also like paninis a lot. At Take the Bump Pod, did you watch the Super Bowl? If so, what did you have to eat? Yeah, we made a feast. We've been like making a big Super Bowl feast every year. And last year I think it was a lot better, but this year had some good food dishes. Last year we made like this awesome like bread bowl with like marinara sauce and like cheesy bread. We dipped into it, and we had a whole bunch of thematic beer last year. This year it was hard to find more thematic beers, but we had chicken. Wait, what the heck did we have? What are the meatballs? Chicken parm meatballs, and we had cheddar apple soup, which sounds weird, but it was really awesome. In fact, that was the best part of the meal. And then we had these corn cakes, which were like crab cakes, but like made with like corn kernels. It was really, really good. Also, what's the name of that po' boy place that's like super overrated that I hate?
Parkway?
Oh yes, Parkway Bakery. Don't go there. I mean, you might like it, but I think it's overrated as hell. I couldn't remember it for the life of me, but yes, Paul reminded me it's Parkway Bakery. Not my favorite. Paul likes Shortstop. It's a good place for po' boys. Again, roast beef po' boys I think are the thing to have if you're gonna have a po' boy. Also, hot sausage po' boys are really good. Yeah. New and old versions of DuckTales people are asking about. I do love the old DuckTales. I haven't watched the new one, even though I heard it was pretty decent. DuckTales, great theme song. Also, just such a good show. And with Disney Plus, it's cool to be able to relive so many old school shows and cartoons. Gargoyles is on there. I believe DuckTales is too. Eventually, I'm going to get to all those Disney Plus shows, but that's another thing on my list I've got to get to. So yeah, we watched the Super Bowl take the bump pod, and we had a big feast. But again, I think last year's was kind of more epic, had more like heavy Super Bowl type food. This year it felt like kind of like a light with soup and corn cakes. I don't know. It just seems kind of random and light. But the meatballs were a little dry, but the premise was cool. Another question from JPQ at Big Paws on a Pup. Why, when, and where to visit in Louisiana outside of Mardi Gras? Always visit outside of Mardi Gras. Don't come here during Mardi Gras. Paul would say you have to experience it, but me, it's like too crowded, too crazy. Some of it's fun, I will say that, but there's so much to offer visiting Louisiana. Like, there's so much that you can experience here outside of Mardi Gras. And in fact, I would say the number one reason to come, no matter what time of year, is food. You could have like a billion different food experiences at a billion different restaurants here because the restaurant scene has just exploded after Hurricane Katrina. We lost a lot of restaurants, but like tons of those restaurants came back and a lot more new ones popped up since then. So really, honestly, the restaurant scene is just that's the number one reason to visit. Also, if you like beer, they've got a lot of great breweries here. There's a lot of I don't know. There's obviously a lot of great drinking if you like Bourbon Street, but that's kind of like more touristy stuff to do. But it is fun. There's a lot of history here too. I mean, like I said, the breweries have a history. Like at one point, like a long, long time ago, there was 30 breweries here. We're talking about like in like I think late 1800s, early 1900s, long time ago. But like the city is rich in history. There's a lot of cool haunted type of history stuff here, which is interesting to learn about. And you could always go on like a local city tour. So I think there's a lot of experiences you could have in Louisiana outside of Mardi Gras time. But if you like a party and you want to come hang, why not visit for Mardi Gras as well? It's a unique experience, I'll say that. But me as a local, I've obviously experienced it my whole life. So for 31 years, I'm kind of like over it at this point. In fact, many people locally like to leave and go to like Disney World during that week because there's like nobody in Disney except for people from Louisiana who are like leaving for Mardi Gras time. But I have been working a lot on Mardi Gras lately. And the thing is, Mardi Gras is not just a day for us in New Orleans, it's like a season. So already right now we're in it. So like king cake at work all the time, like every week. Multiple times a week sometimes. So like everyone at work, no matter where you work, will bring in a king cake. Also, there'll be king cake at your house usually. I don't have one here, but my mom and dad have one at their house right now. We just had some over the weekend. But yeah, so everyone has a king cake. There's like a billion to try, which are really delicious, I gotta say. There's even king cake alcohol now, and there's king cake ice cream. In fact, we just got king cake gelato over the weekend from this awesome place called Bricado's, which has been around since 1905. It's an amazing bakery here, very famous. So that's another reason to visit is to go to Bricado's. They're amazing. They got great cannolis too. But yeah, lots of cool things to experience. But yeah, Mardi Gras is a season. It's a long time. We're already in it now. And there's lots of balls. If you're like a rich person, you might get to go to some. But there's Mardi Gras balls. There's lots of parades, not just on Mardi Gras Day, all month long. And like I said, they've kind of already started. It starts on this thing called 12th Night. And this group called the Funny 40 Fellows. There's a lot of history to Mardi Gras. I don't even know, but my boss knows everything about Mardi Gras that there is to know. And so at work, we have to do a show on Mardi Gras night, filming the Rex Ball. Rex Parade is one of the most famous Mardi Gras parades that there is. And there's a big ball that happens that night on Mardi Gras night. And we film it. It's like 4 hours long. It's very, very long and intensive. And I produce features about the king and queen who are kept secret. So they're a secret right now. But soon people will know who the Rex guy is and who the queen is. But right now, people mostly don't know. Soon they will, though. They'll be doing like a whole bunch of public appearances and stuff. But yeah, there's a whole bunch of balls going on. And at my work, everyone's doing stuff about like the history of Mardi Gras to prepare for this ball that we have to do a broadcast on. And so there's a lot of Mardi Gras stuff happening in my life around this time of year. And it's kind of like gets old. It's actually one of my busiest times of year because of the broadcast, but it's a lot of fun if you're just going to experience it as someone who's going to a parade. Uh, and it could be cool. You can drink on the street, which a lot of people are like, you can do that? Yeah, you can do that in New Orleans. It's kind of cool and unique. You can't do that just anywhere, you know. So yeah, there's lots of reasons, though, to come and visit New Orleans. Check it out, guys. If you're ever in town, let me know. My friend who's in the chat right now, Good Guy Dave, I'd call him Great Guy Dave at Dave Pozeski. What's your top 3 favorite beer snacks? That's hard. I love beer, and sometimes I have a snack with beer. Sometimes I just will have a beer. Like a lot of times, I'll just drink it by itself. I won't be eating snacks. But I think my number one snack right now is kind of like a new thing I'm into. It's called Sweet Cajun Trail Mix. So it's like a sweet and a spicy taste, and I get it from Target. It's delicious. It's so incredible. So that's like my number one snack right now. You can't go wrong with chips, or I know this isn't really a snack, it's more of a meal, but you can't go wrong with a burger and a beer. Just depending on the type of beer you're drinking, usually a burger will go with anything, and so will chips. Now, the Cajun Trail Mix is a little more iffy. You can't really, I wouldn't have like a brown beer with that. I would probably have like a light beer with that. Because, you know, you want something that will almost quench the thirst of something spicy, but those are some good snacks, and I love that question, so thank you, Dave. At D Loves Wrestling, given the significant amount of WWE family of stars that were involved with the Super Bowl, pregame, postgame, and commercials, is it safe to say that WWE may be too big for any other promotion to take down? I don't think other promotions are trying to take down WWE. I think they're just trying to get to the level of notoriety that WWE has and enjoys right now. So to me, it's not about taking down the company. I think it's just about becoming that mainstream, or as mainstream as WWE is. So I think it's more about that. And yeah, it might be hard for any company to reach that level, but AEW has quite a big reach in terms of, like, you know, they're on TV too. They have commercials during big sporting events. So I don't think it's out of reach for them to rise to the level of WWE. Of course, WWE has been around a lot longer, so only time will tell. But I don't think anyone's trying to take down anyone per se. What's the best kind of soup? I think it's chicken taco soup. Paul and I have made that quite a few times in the slow cooker. It's incredible. I also really love baked potato soup, and my mom makes the best gumbo ever. She makes she makes turkey and andouille gumbo, and it's amazing. A lot of people talk about seafood gumbo when they talk about New Orleans. I'm not really a big fan of seafood gumbo. I'm actually more of a fan of either turkey and andouille gumbo, or like chicken and andouille gumbo. And you can get that a lot of places in New Orleans, but to me, it's hard to find a good one. But my mom, she makes the best one. So again, I might have to cut this stream a little short because there's so many questions here. I could always do a 2-parter next time. A lot of people in the chat asking me about anime, and my friend Brittany at KirbyPinky23 also said, do you watch anime? If so, what is your favorite? I don't really watch anime TV shows. I know my friend Good Guy Dave does. He really likes anime. And I know my friend Burke, one of my best friends, he really likes it too. I just never got into it. I was more into like classic animation growing up, like Disney style of animation. You know, regular cartoons. I never really was exposed to anime very much. I do like some movies, you know, like Spirited Away, of course, is great. Of course, it's not a TV show, but I like that. And a lot of movies like that. Porco Rosso, isn't that what it's called? That's a great movie too. And oh, this is funny. Because I live in New Orleans, someone's asking me, Tommy Gunn is asking, do I eat frogs and alligator? No, I've actually never had either. I know people who do eat alligator. I don't know anyone who eats frogs, though. Like frog legs. Have you eaten any of that, Paul?
I've had it one time.
Which one?
Frog legs.
Paul has had frog legs. Yeah. What the hell? I'm
I've
surprised.
had alligator a couple times.
And he's had alligator a couple of times. Man, he's more Cajun than me. You're making me look bad. My people, they're going to disown me. Come on. Well, anyway, I'm surprised that he had frog legs. That's crazy. But yeah, in terms of anime, I just never really got into it growing up. Like, the style of animation just kind of is not my favorite. I don't know. it always seems like it has like a sadder, more serious subject matter too, for the most part. But I'm not against it. I never got into it growing up. I know a lot of people who did though. Also, my friend Eric at Dreaded Dinosaur asked me the same thing, and I have the same answer. Nope. I mean, some movies here and there, and like I said, I watched all of Pokemon, which is like in an anime style. I love that show. It was so funny, really well done. Um, I like this question a lot. At Josh Y Conquer, cool. I have a question. Do you think that a Breaking Bad sequel series is possible with Walter White Jr., aka Flynn, taking over his father's drug empire, or maybe something that involves the lovely trap queen Skylar? Um, that's a hard question to answer because, not to spoil some of Breaking Bad, but we know that eventually they're going to get the money if all goes according to Walter's plan. Walt Jr. is supposed to get the money. So you're almost not implying, but I'm guessing that you're implying that he would use that money to start up an empire. He never seemed to take up Walt's chemistry skills. So to me, I don't think Walter Jr. would go down that path at all. Um, and Skylar was really damaged at the end, or else I would say, oh, it's more possible to see what she's up to. Maybe she like kind of is so used to the life of crime now she can't help but be involved. But I think she's so emotionally scarred at the end of the show that she wouldn't go down that path and continue down that path, or I guess you could say revert down that path, because she was down that path at a point, trying to stick with her husband. Her motivations change throughout the series, so it's kind of hard to analyze. I don't want to go too in depth because I will be doing a Breaking Bad analysis with 2 guests coming up in about a month or 2. I'm very excited about it. I'm doing a lot of research. I'll have a lot of recommendations for reading and viewing, and it'll be a lot of fun. And we'll break down the characters and our favorite episodes, and I'm so excited about it. But yeah, I can't really see Walter Jr. taking up the helm of the drug business from his dad because he just doesn't seem to take after him in terms of love of chemistry, chasing power. I will say though, maybe that is why Walter connected so heavily to Jesse. In fact, the one thing I wanted to discuss most with my guests is why do they think that Walter, it wasn't a completely pure love, but it was definitely like some kind of love and care that he had for Jesse. And whether or not it was well placed or not, I don't know. But I just want to know why they think he cared about Jesse so much, because it came out of nowhere. This love and care. He put himself in danger multiple times. He even put Jesse over his own family multiple times, including just putting them in dangerous situations, even up until the end, refusing to take care of Jesse when he was being a problem dog or a rabid dog, as they referred to him in an episode title at the end. And ultimately, that's what brings Walter down, is Jesse, and his inability to do anything about Jesse until it's too late. Um, also, there's so many facets that are so fascinating about the relationship between Walter and Jesse and why they care for each other. And how Jesse doesn't really see that time and time again, Walter, whether or not it's for selfish reasons or not, because sometimes it wasn't totally for pure reasons, but Walter would put himself at risk for Jesse, and it's just weird. I wonder why. He even called Walt Jr. Jesse once when he was like on pain medication, and Walt Jr. was trying to take care of him at his house. Walt was just totally out of it and called him Jesse as he was walking out the room. So there's some kind of deeper care at some points that he had for Jesse than he even did for Walt Jr. And I don't think maybe it's because, Jesse had more skills and potential, because potential is a huge theme in Breaking Bad, either wasting potential or not fulfilling your potential that you do have deep within. I think it's such a big theme overall in the character of Walter, but also the character of Jesse, because he wasted a lot of his potential in his early life, in high school, and then, becoming a drug guy. And even like in midway through, he kind of, with getting involved with drugs and everything, totally wasted some of his potential. Hence why Walter put on one of his tests, apply yourself. So to me, there's a lot to analyze about the relationship between them, but it's super fascinating, and we'll get into it in about a month or two. So guys, if you love Breaking Bad, tune in for that. It'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, I think Breaking Bad is fine without a sequel involving Walter's child, Walter White Jr., or his wife Skylar. I don't think they have to go in that direction. I think Better Call Saul and then El Camino was great because it stays in the universe, and you don't have to go, too far beyond the end of Breaking Bad with either of those things. So I think the universe is good where it stands right now, and I'm excited. Better Call Saul is coming up soon, new season. What's my favorite vacation I ever took? Where's my favorite vacation spot? Says Derek Stark. I would say my favorite vacation I ever went on was when I went to Boston with Paul. We saw awesome Bruins games and they won. Went to Celtics game, had awesome Italian food, awesome cannolis, just awesome food. Also, we went to Salem on Halloween night, which was super cool. We were all dressed up too, and I was dressed up as the Riddler. He was Batman, a really bad Batman, but whatever. It was a lot of fun. I think that was my best trip ever. Also had a great trip to Chicago. My favorite vacation spot, probably Perdido Key, Florida. Been there a lot of times with my mom and dad. Had a lot of good memories, relaxing, chilling by the beach. Also Chicago and Boston. Other favorite vacation spots. At Real FN Game, if you had creative control to make a movie about your life, who would portray you and who would portray the key people in your life? I was joking around with Paul and saying, who would portray you? And I was like, Bill Burr, because he's a dick. And we were laughing about that. It was just a joke, though. Because he's real smarmy and sarcastic. And I was like, yeah, Bill Burr could totally be you. And then I think for me, the actress that plays Kimmy Schmidt, if you guys have seen that show, I can't remember her name, but I think she'd be a good me because she's got like this kind of this innocence and this goofiness and like a kind of funniness as well. I think she could play me pretty well, I guess. I don't know. Hi, Movie Mania Nick. Thanks for joining us, Nick. Appreciate you. And thanks to all of you guys who are still sticking in the chat right now. I know this is long. We're about to wrap up here. Even though I'm only about, I think, like halfway into my questions, we will kind of revisit some of these questions in my next stream. What's my favorite YouTube channel? Asks at noob_n_co1991. Well, I've got a lot of them. Like I said, Friendoville, because it's got the Four Lights podcast. It's got the Picard reviews. And I just really like Steve. I think he's a great YouTuber, and he does a lot of content on that channel. I also really love Fightful. I think Sean Ross Sapp is a great dude. Of course, my friend Warren. He does great wrestling content. If you check out his channel at Mr. Warren Hayes. My friend Anthony at Smart to Death. You can find his channel, Smart to Death, also on YouTube. I really love all those guys, so you can't go wrong with any of those channels. In terms of casual viewing, like pop culture stuff, I don't really have a go-to channel. I kind of just search for stuff I want to learn more about. Like I've been watching a lot of Breaking Bad videos from all kinds of channels right now. And I've been watching a lot of Star Trek videos from all kinds of channels. So those, I don't really have a specific favorite. I kind of just jump around, search for things, My thoughts on the Super Bowl, asked Prince Art Hass LK. I thought it was really a fun game. It got interesting, like super interesting in the fourth quarter. And I'm glad Kansas City won because it had been so long since they won last time. And I just like a feel-good story, stuff like that. It's always good to see somebody win who hasn't won in a long time. And it was kind of cool that it wasn't the Patriots because it felt like, we're getting the same Super Bowl matchup for a while every now and then. So it was kind of cool to change it up. Different matchup there. At Real Black Conrad, pancakes or waffles? 100% waffles. Pancakes are too much like cake. I don't know. I like pancakes. Like IHOP's got some good ones. They got a cupcake pancake, or is it a birthday cake pancake? Either way, it's got sprinkles on it. And I like that pancake a lot. They've got like tres leches pancakes that I really like. But I think waffles are better, especially when you get like a perfectly made waffle, like from Waffle House with the badass syrup. Heck yeah. So I think waffles all day, every day. My friend Graham at MGB Graham did ask me to rate different Star Trek series, but as I admitted, embarrassingly so at the beginning of the stream. I really only concentrate on TNG, but eventually I will watch all of Deep Space Nine and Voyager. I don't think I'll ever watch the original series in full. I like the movies, but I've tried to give the original series a chance, and I'm just not a Kirk person, a Captain Kirk person. You know, I really like Captain Picard, and I can't get over that he's like my favorite captain. No other captain feels as good watching their development and their stories as Jean-Luc does. So I just love Jean-Luc. He's oh, by the way, yeah, I forgot to show you guys. I wore these because I knew I'd be talking about Picard. I wore them to dinner the other day with my parents, and my mom was wearing like nice earrings, and it was for her birthday. We were with like a party of 9, and everyone was like, "We love your earrings, Anna." I'm like, "I love them too." I was like, "They're nice, but not as nice as my earrings. I'm wearing a bald guy on my ear. It's Captain Jean-Luc Picard." And the table laughed. But yeah, that's what I'm wearing right now. Kind of see him. It's hard to get close. I don't want to move my mic too much, but yeah, I'm wearing Picard on my ear right now. I also have like a Picard necklace and an Enterprise necklace too. I don't know. I'm just a nerd. All right. So, unfortunately, I can't rank all the Star Trek series. Of course, TNG will always be first, no matter how many I watch. I really love Discovery too, as I said earlier though. It's such a great show. Speaking of Star Trek, at Mr. Warren Hayes, who would win in a fight, Captain James T. Kirk of the USS Enterprise or Marco Stunt? I gotta give the leg up to Marco Stunt, man. I think he'd surprise people and beat Captain Kirk. I think just physically he'd outmaneuver him. He'd use his, agility and speed and even his height. He could like maneuver around. I mean, it's not Picard. I got Picard in the brain. He would maneuver around Kirk so quickly. He'd win. But if he was facing Picard, it would be Picard. I'm just biased, so pay no attention. Whatever. Another question from Derek at Derek Stark. If you could combine any cartoon shows together or reality shows together or cartoon reality shows, what would it be called and why? I did think of a funny name play thing. I thought of Rocco's Real World instead of Rocco's Modern Life. Combine it with the Real World, and it's just I don't really like the Real World, but I love Rocco's Modern Life. I just think it's like a funny name that you could combine together. Also, I thought it'd be really cool. This isn't a cartoon, but mix Baby Yoda with these characters from Grizzy and the Lemmings. It's this cartoon on Netflix. The Lemmings are really cute, and Baby Yoda's really cute. Mix those characters together, even though one's like kind of live action and one's cartoon. It'd be the greatest show ever. Ever! I don't know what it would be called. Maybe just like so cute it'll blow your mind. Something like that. At WrestleNalia, seeing as we just had the Rumble, if you were in the Rumble, who would you go after first to eliminate, and who would you want to eliminate you? Unless you would win in your own fantasy Rumble. I would not win. In fact, I would just huddle in a corner and wait to be eliminated because I don't think I could take on anybody. I'm not a wrestler. I can't contend with these women wrestlers who are incredible. But I gotta say, I wouldn't mind being eliminated by either Bianca Belair or Shayna Baszler because I think they're just such great talents. I would feel honored to be eliminated by them because they're super impressive and they're favorites of mine. So if either of them eliminated me, I'd be okay with that. I'd be perfectly fine. I would just not eliminate anybody because it's too I don't know. I couldn't do it. I mean, who would I even go after? I don't even know. I love Natalia too. I would never go after her and try to eliminate her. Beth Phoenix was awesome in the Rumble. God, her head bleeding and stuff. That was insane. At Chibi Halloween, I had a conversation with a friend not that long ago, and I wouldn't mind your 2 cents on it. Would you rather have a lot of women's matches that are shorter, or 1 or 2, but they're 15 to 20 minutes long on a weekly basis? Pay-per-views not counting. I was torn on this because it's hard to answer. I feel like a lot more shorter matches might be good because it gives more women a spotlight and a time to shine, whereas longer matches, they are awesome, but you only have a limited time to feature a limited amount of performers if you did that. So to me, I would say, I guess, more shorter matches, only because it features more women and gives them more opportunity to show what they can do and to get themselves over. Then save the longer, I guess, matches for the pay-per-views, since you said that the pay-per-views wouldn't be included in that scenario. At PCH Nobog, if you could go back in time and be in any classic film, which movie would it be, and what role are you taking? Well, I love The Wizard of Oz. I wouldn't mind being Dorothy because I think it's just a fun movie, and it has a lot of nostalgic memories for me. And when you say classic, I assume you mean like really old school classic that has like black and white, but also color. Um, so I'm not really thinking like classic as in like 80s or 90s, because I don't know what it would be in an 80s or 90s movie. I love the Goonies, which we'll be talking about soon in a video coming in a few weeks. I'll have to pit Goonies versus Stranger Things against each other and pick which one I like better, which will be like brutal. I don't even know how I'm gonna make that decision. But yeah, I could be in the Goonies. I don't know. You know that girl with the glasses? Maybe that'll be me because I've got glasses. But that's not really a classic. I mean, it is classic to me, but when I think of classic, I'm thinking like 30s and stuff. I don't know. But either way, those are two choices from two totally different decades that you could say I could be in either of those movies. All right, at Bert Macklin 11, I would like to know what you thought was the better Nickelodeon game show. Do you think it was Legends of the Hidden Temple, Double Dare, or a different one? Of course, there's also Guts. Uh, um, Legends of the Hidden Temple pretty easily wins for me because it was just a fun show to watch as a kid. I felt like especially like the end with the temple itself was kind of fun and scary and kind of nail biting. You were like, "Oh my god, what's gonna happen?" Whereas Double Dare was more you weren't feeling like you were on the edge of your seat while you were watching. It was just something to do to pass the time, something to have on in the background. But when like Legends came on, I was like very invested in watching and like what's gonna happen? Are they gonna win? And I had a favorite team. Whereas Double Dare, you don't really it's not like you have anyone specifically that you specifically root for. Whereas you're watching Legends of the Hidden Temple, they got the great logos, the teams that you relate with. I always wanted the Blue Barracudas to win. So I don't know. I think Legends of the Hidden Temple easily wins the Nickelodeon game show question, like which was better. Guts was fun too, but just not as iconic to me as Legends of the Hidden Temple. They remade it into a movie, the premise kind of, and apparently they're bringing it back. I know my good friends at Big Orange Couch Podcast, they don't care about things because it's going to be made for adults apparently. I think it was Legends of the Hidden Temple, or was it Double Dare? Whatever it is, it's being made for adults, like with adults competing. And Big Orange Couch was like, they should make it for kids, like competing, not adults. So they don't like the idea of it. But I'm all for reboots. I was just telling my friend Dave this. I'm all for reboots and remakes. And in fact, he was letting me know. This is why we're having the conversation. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids is might be remade with Rick, and I think that would be fun. I would totally watch it. I'm not against remakes and reboots, but it is kind of like an overwhelming thing happening in Hollywood right now. But again, I skipped over some questions. I'll be sure to address. I'm sorry if I didn't get to yours, but thanks guys for hanging with me. I know this has been a long chat and it's late at night. I went later than usual in terms of my start time because I had a lot to do today. But I appreciate you guys tuning in and sharing and leaving a like. Again, if you're not subscribed, it would mean a lot to me if you did hit that subscribe button. If you want to look at my magnets, like I said, I look and tell you about one panel in depth, every single magnet I go through on a panel in this description in this video below. Also, I have other Q&As that are in the description below, plus my merch site's there too. If you guys want to support me by buying my merch, I'm wearing my own shirt right now. I don't know if that's kind of like conceited or what, but I just wanted to show you guys that I've got merch. It's a Nickelodeon themed piece, also wrestling themed. They're in a wrestling ring. You can't really see it. This is not a very good display of the shirt. I just don't want to sit up. I'm being lazy. But anyway, it says Super Kicking It with Kelsi in the Nickelodeon bubble at the top. Isn't that cool? Don't you guys want that shirt? If so, check out the links in the description below. Also, you can support me. I have a Patreon, but I also have a Ko-fi page, or what is it, coffee? Oh yeah, it's pronounced like coffee. Whatever. I don't know anything. You can support me on Ko-fi. The link's below. All my links are below, even my website, which you can see a lot of my pictures of my interviews with wrestlers. You can see a lot of my links to my other content, etc., etc. Just check out the description below. But more importantly, I want to say thank you before I sign off. I really appreciate you guys. Hope you have a good rest of the evening. And look out because I'm going to be kind of revving up my schedule with my content. I'm going to be doing more and more. And again, it's going to be kind of pop culture heavy for a while. So hopefully you guys will hang with me and enjoy that just as much as wrestling. I hope you'll stick with me. But I've had fun talking tonight. Luckily, we did get some wrestling talk in there. Thank you guys so much. Take care. Bye.